Hi and welcome to Tech Tip Friday. I'm Kurt Stahle, that plastics guy, and I'm bringing you a tech tip that you could take with you to the shop floor today. So if you recall, last week I wrapped up a three-part series that discussed molded in stress when using polypropylene. And the culprit was a little bit too much variation of melt flow. It was a wide spec polypropylene used in this part. And it got me thinking, how many people really understand what the term wide spec is? So basically, when a material producer has a production campaign going of multiple grades, say in a polypropylene, and they have to transition after so many rail cars from one product to another, they don't shut down their machinery, their production equipment. It's a chemical reaction that's doing a lot of the work. You can't really easily shut that down. So going from one grade to another, there is a transition. You may have heard this material referred to as transitional material. So based on how the production of these grades is sequenced, altering melt flow and maybe a couple of other minor characteristics is sort of a logical progression from grade to grade. So if you start making a 12 melt flow product and you want to transition to a 20, whatever product it might be, maybe a copolymer polypropylene, you're going to notice an increase in melt flow over a number of rail cars until the target specs are reached for the prime next grade in that production sequence. What do you do with all the rail cars that aren't quite one or the other? Well, you sell them as a wide spec or transitional. I've heard the term pencil prime, which means it's really close to what it's supposed to be, but not quite. So this is all well and good because it's sold at a discount rate. There's material out there. It's reliable, repeatable, because you're always going to have production campaigns by these major resin producers. But from a molding standpoint, you have to know what you're buying, and you have to know that there's going to be variability in at least one key ingredient, likely melt flow, and you have to be able to process around that. Or maybe you can't. I've told you the story that I got my start in the business working for my father's molding company. When he bought it, one of the first things he did was stop the use of wide spec materials. Why is that, you say? There's a cost savings. Well, no. It was one or two of the jobs, and I can't mention what they were because, believe it or not, 40 plus years after the fact, they're still out there in the molding community. It's pretty incredible. They had a very complex geometry, and the wide spec material prevented the highest maximum yield, so a lot of scrap basically, and you'd have operators come in and trying to change settings and whatnot, trying to get this thing running or keep it running without creating shorts or overpack conditions, whatever the case. So taking a big variable out of that was removing wide spec and going to a prime. Yes, paying more, but productivity went up significantly to where it was actually likely supposed to be when it was quoted. And why is that? Well, you have one less major variable in the equation of production. If your material is consistent, you can take that to the bank, literally. And you can build around or correct for, maybe some other things, variables in your process or tool or mold, but the material itself, one of the key ingredients in this whole equation, is consistent. So if you are going to go down the path of wide spec, just remember, not everything is free, or I guess it comes at a price. Your discount comes at a price. There you go. You're going to have to process around it or make other adjustments, and only you can decide if that is worth it for your application and your shop and your staff. So there you have it. There's a tech tip that you could take, and a business lesson that you could take to the shop floor or the boardroom or the engineering room, wherever you wish to take it. So until we talk next week, have a great Friday, a great weekend, and thanks for joining me. Bye for now.